Okay, welcome. Good morning. This is Good Morning Anambra discussion table. Wants to see us here. We have something to talk about. That's why we're here. Welcome. My name is Tijoma. And I'd like to thank you very much for joining us this morning. Already you have seen my guest that has joined me to discuss what we have today. And what is it? Empowering citizens, uniting against corruption. And this is to commemorate the 2023 World Anti-Corruption Day. Is it today? Okay. So you get seated and then listen and make your own contribution when the time comes on this particular topic that seems to be nagging now, but we just have to talk about it. Joining me this morning, Chris Arukwe, a public affairs analyst. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Welcome.
And then Lawrence Onuzlike, the national president, Igbos for Progressive and United Nationhood. Good morning, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Ipman is IPAN.
IPAN.
I don't have fuel in my car. So I shot the mat. I know who to hold responsible. Okay. So thank you very much. That's who we are this morning. And I've told you what we're going to talk about. That we need to empower the citizens so that they can unite unite against corruption. I think that's basically what this topic is talking about. That if a hungry man, they say, is an angry man, okay, that's not it. When you don't send a hungry man to look after food for you, something like that, okay? I don't know how to put it, but that's what it looks like. It looks like, okay, when you don't have, I don't know what to put it. You now say they bother on integrity, but that the fact remains that you need to get me comfortable before I'll be able to look after, some of the things that we have kept under my care for another person. So that's basically what we're saying: empowering people, letting people have what they ought to get. So you can now come back and talk to them. Now that I have given you what you deserve, can you now help me to look after this? Because you don't have any moral justification not to do this because I've already taken care of your own, your needs. I think that's what I'm trying to explain in a different language, okay? But I'm not going to do the talking alone. I'm just trying to see if there's any way I can go around the intro before I get my guest in. Chris Arukwe, let's hit this topic.
Yes. Well, my audience, this topic is like all of us. It's like everybody knows the meaning of corruption or the incidences of corruption, or you have, in popular language, that Nigeria has dealt with you one way or the other. When Nigeria hits you, you now know the total vibration of the meaning of corruption. And it's in all places, it's in all sections, it's in all sectors of our lives: religious, private, public, institutional, the Senate, the House.
The lowest, so it's easy to say we want to fight corruption. But when you look at some of the cases that Buhari started when he came into power, the first few cases that went to court, the people were convicted, then were released on one excuse or the other. So we have to look at the judicial system. We have to look at the institutions created to fight corruption in Nigeria. Are they corrupt? Are they fighting corruption? So do people even trust the institutions? So we have to create a level of systemic integrity in the government. Then we have to let the people, make the people trust, be able to report. Because if you don't report corruption, we are not getting anywhere. Anywhere in the world, they have to say, speak about corruption. Whistleblowers, do we protect them? Are there laws that protect these people? And do Nigerians know their rights when it comes to reporting corruptions? And in a situation where you report corruption and your life is in danger because the office you went to report to will tell the person you're reporting against that so-so person reported against you, and now you're left to fight for your life, or you have to run or hide somewhere. So we have to start by creating a kind of protection for people that will report corruption. Then we encourage reporting of corruption. So that, and when they report the corruption and the person is tried and the person is found culpable, the person should be punished. Because if I report corruption and my life is in danger and the culprit is moving around freely, enjoying his wealth, then there's no way the second person will report. And if you have a law to protect whistleblowers and you didn't enact the law or you didn't implement the law, then the next person will not report. So we have to start by encouraging people to report, to speak openly about corruption. Because if you don't speak, or if people in the know, they don't speak, there's no way other people will know. There's no way the authority will know. So it's the people around. People should be scared to commit corruption because they don't know who is monitoring or who will speak out. But in a situation where people are hungry, where there's deep poverty, like my friend said, like the way we are rated out, like the poverty headquarters in the world. So it's very now difficult to report because when people commit corruption, they tend to share to the people under them and maybe above them as well. So it spreads, and once you collect, you can't report because you can't report against yourself. So poverty rate is part of the issue. Illiteracy is part of the issue. A whole lot needs to be corrected before we can unite the people against corruption. Because when some Nigerians come out to fight corruption, they still use the same Nigerians to fight those ones. The government don't come and fight them openly. They still set up other people like them, empower them to fight the other one. And the other one will have protection. The one fighting against corruption will not have protection. So the other one will always win when you have government backing. Tell some youths not to come out on the streets to protest against corruption. If there are 1,000 youths, you see 50,000 youths coming out to protest against those ones protesting. And those ones protesting against them are hungry. They are suffering poverty. But because of 1,000 or 2,000, they have to eat today. That's important because the poverty rate is extreme. So they use the youth against the youth. They use the people against the people. Divide and rule. Tribalism, a whole lot. We need to correct a lot to unite the people.
I don't know when we'll start correcting this loss that we have in our tables, because it does appear that every effort we are making to correct the rot here, it's not working. That corruption is, is systematic. It's like inheritance now, where you inherit this from this generation, and it moves from one generation to the other. And as he moves, he grows bigger and becomes more complex for us to handle. Mr. Arokwa.
Well, my colleagues have been trying to deal with it. The most important thing about this idea of corruption is that the worst of it all is election validity. When the will of the people to elect their own chosen leaders are thwarted, where the judiciary as an arm of government is compromised, is not assured of its neutrality in the affairs of men. Because the judiciary is supposed to be the last hope of the common man, and actually the watchdog of the other two arms of governance. Because there must be somebody who watches over the king. If the king is not without safeguards, without certain limitations, which are actually imposed by the Constitution and given interpretation by the judicial arm, if the judicial arm is hackled, hands tied. It was in this country that a justice said, my hands or our hands are tied.
It's not, because it's not like we don't know what to do, but our hands are tied.
Yes,
tied by who?
If he's free.
Can we speak out?
If he's free, if his hands were free, so to say, the justice will come. The jurisprudence will be interpreted in such a way that it will go through the line of judicial precedents. Now today, we saw what happened at the election. INEC as an institution was not overly corrupt, was not overly compromised. They entered into the arena to justify the miasma they created. They chose who to be elected and not the masses choosing who they wanted to vote for. Elections were not done. Elections were not concluded. And announcements were made all over the place. Humongous figures were being paraded as the result of the voting. Therefore, we have to start at the very...
Was that as a result of corruption or failure of institutions in the country?
You can't separate corruption and the institutions. They're the same thing. When the institution is corrupt, it gives out corrupt outcomes. If we had institutions that were strong, not just manned by strong people, but institutions that have proper checks and balances, institutions that are alive to its responsibility, not institutions that are manned by people who are already compromised, people who are looking after their own tribesmen, people who are looking after their own personal gains, people who do not even know what the job is. In the category of what the Greek people enumerated, the idiots, the citizens, and the tribesmen. A lot of us have now moved from the being citizens to idiots and to the tribesmen. So if you're not an idiot, those who do not know anything happening in the economy, what they just know is bring that and wine, bring that pounded yam, smoke marijuana at a joint. Those are people who are not bothered about what's happening in the country. Then you now come to the tribesmen who are just there to protect their tribe. This man is my brother. This man comes from my calling. He's my tribesman. He's my club member. Those kind of thinking. That's why a large section of the people do not even look at the issues from a nationalist point of view. Who was elected? Was he elected by the popular will of the people? Whether he had certificate, whether he conducted a perjury, whether he didn't win, is of no moment to a large section of the country because of we are all tribesmen. The citizenship arm is diminishing. After Babalola said the other day, anybody who didn't join or who didn't vote for the other presidential candidate are part of the problem, are the cabals that have kept this country where it is. In the world, Brazil has an equivalent of our NPPC, you know, that is oil, national oil company. Brazil has it, but Brazil runs the best in the world. Yesterday, the other day, Sanusi was asking, why does our oil giant, NNPC, not make returns of their transactions? Of
after
selling
the
of
removal of subsidy.
After, why do they not bring in their money
in
dollars?
What is the outcome?
Where is the money that you sell our crude, you leave this crude? The figures they mention that waste at the hands of the oil giant is tremendous. You don't speak about it. So our resources end up in private pockets. Just the other time, you remember Halliburton and Shell, where the international communities indicted their personnel, indicted the Halliburton personnel and Shell companies. Through forensic investigations, certain Nigerians, including Obasanjo and Jonathan, were listed as people who were privileged to collect money in dollars from the deal between Halliburton, Shell, and Eni. The Italian authorities charged their own people, convicted some made payments and all that. But our own Nigerian counterparts, who were all arms in deal with them, got it all free. Many national companies, international companies are leaving Nigeria. Why are they leaving? They are not leaving just because there's no electricity or in the institutional framework. They are leaving because they cannot compromise the international standard.
In a corrupt system.
P&J is an international company. They cannot cut quality and then cut price so that they can compete, because they sell end user consumer goods like you know,
the Pampers and
Pampers, particularly Pampers. They are very popular with the Pampers, you know. But they have to go because they can't compromise their own international standard, because their host countries will hold the personnel accountable. And that's why they are leaving.
Even the pharmaceutical companies.
They have left. The people who are doing the augmenting, they have left. Many other companies have left. Yesterday, our president was begging the international community, please don't leave. We are all in team with developing Nigeria and all that. But those people will not hear or heed such a call, because Nigeria, there's no environment. There's no environment where the validity of the last election cannot be sustained, where any judge in this country can give any type of judgment and heavens will not fall.
I think it's only business environment that is making them leave. No, it's illegality. The level of illegality in the country.
They can't even seek redress from the courts, knowing that the judiciary system has been compromised. Then when you look at the budget, where you are budgeting 2-point-something billion for the first ladies' cars, 200 million for animals in Aso Rock, then you tell me how it doesn't make sense. It shows that the country is not serious. Business communities will see that
the other day is,
but it's true.
You have 5 billion for the entire student loan, and we know the population of the students in the university and other tertiary education sector. You budget 5 billion, and you budget 15 billion for renovation of the VP's lodge or residence, call it palace. Then you budget another 10 billion for the chief of staff's residence, and you now budget another 10 million for his computer.
When the masses are dying of hunger.
Anything in millions.
And just yesterday, our brother Senate president celebrated his birthday in a stadium. He collapsed the international stadium at I think Calabar, Akwa Ibom. He collapsed the stadium. You could see the crowd. He was virtually running on a horse entering the stadium. It's stupendous. Omera called it conspicuous consumption. It is not in this time. The Malawian president is pushing out an austerity measure, pushing out measures that will revamp and at least bring recurrent expenditure down to its lowest, so that the people can be extricated from extreme poverty and challenges. Today, everybody is virtually a beggar. Everybody is begging the other person who may not have. You can no longer guarantee that you can buy fuel to transport yourself from one end to the other. You cannot guarantee. Somebody told me the other day that a complete section of Luth, all the hospitals, all the specialists in one section of the world has left the country. Have completely left the country. And if you want, the visa thing for the doctors and the paramedics is easiest. You can get it in 5 days. So it's easy for any medical personnel to leave this country. Go to UK, go to Canada, go to America.
I want to ask you a question. Why are Nigerians not reacting to this situation? Why does it seem that we are at sea in Mount Zion when that mountain is burning?
Yeah, I read up something. It is all in character of a conquered territory. Do you know the cost of election in Nigeria? The masses have been compromised. There is no masses. What we now have is what the Greeks called idiots. People who don't feel pain anymore. They wake up, they believe that this is a standard, a new norm. People from this extraction say, it can never be as bad as the Civil War. After all, we ate lizards during the war. After all, we ate cassava roots, raw and dry. After all, we used cassava leaf to make our soup. These are moral equivalents. So you don't have a group of our masses who are critical of their own entitlement. Their entitlement in terms of their right to have access to Medicare, their right to have access to product and services provided freely in this country, their right to have petroleum at a reasonable price, their right to have access to good roads, to good water, to drink good water, access to even have a quality education for their children.
The silence is killing.
The silence is because our masses were paid. Our masses were given money. Our masses were given tokens to vote.
No, not in the last election anyway, or just very few of them. Let's move on. We have just established that corruption has a chain. Okay, that's what I said in my intro, that it's now like a generational thing. You leave it to the next generation, and then this one gives on, and it continues like that. What do we do, honestly, to break this chain of corruption so that we have a good nation, a good system to run?
Before I come to that, let me add something. You know, my colleague mentioned about the Senate President's birthday. I don't know if you watched the viral video.
Okay, let me hold you there. We'll take a break, and when we'll come, we'll talk about that. Let's take a break here, please.
Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Welcome to the worship of Christ, the newborn King, as Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS, invites you to her Christmas Fiesta 2023 Cultural Carols and Awards.
Date, Friday 15th December 2023.
Time, 2 p.m. Venue, Oma Event Center by Ekweme Square, Oka. Chairman of the occasion, Chief Maju Me Okwaka Amici, former Commissioner for Information and Culture. Royal Fathers of the Day, His Royal Highness Igwe Pharmacist Alex Uzonido, is a Chuamaga of Ogidi Kingdom. His Royal Majesty Igwe Makantoni Chinedu Elibo Okonkwo, Ezediorama III of Alo, Igwe Alo Zulukwe, and His Royal Highness Igwe Peter Chukwuma Nibogo, Igwe Chimereze I of Amansi. For more inquiries, call 0803-312-7157 or 0706-502-7350. The ABS 2023 Christmas Fiesta, Cultural Carols and Awards. Come, let's worship Christ, the newborn King. Announcers Chido Obidiegu, KSP, MD CEO, ABS, and Barrister Juliet Amasiato, Director, Legal Services.
Wow.
Life is a collection of moments.
This was so much fun for me.
Moments so precious, they give us memories that last forever.
How can we forget?
First graduating student of the year 2019.
We did it! Of course. Your big day.
We believe in celebrating all of life's special moments.
I do.
Because we are your spark in every milestone. Sam Lauren. The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
Wow.
Life is a collection of moments.
This was so much fun for me.
Moments so precious, they give us memories that last forever.
How can we forget?
First graduating student of the year 2019.
We did it! Of course. Your big day.
We believe in celebrating all of life's special moments.
I do.
Because we are your spark in every milestone. Sam Lauren.
Okay, good to have you back. It is the Good Morning Anambra, and we are looking at a very nagging, very nagging topic, corruption. You don't even know where to start talking about corruption when it comes to Nigeria contest. But this day, we are asking, empowering citizens so that they can unite against corruption. And this is to mark World commemorates the 2023 World Anti-Corruption Day. That's exactly what we're talking about, and I still have Chris Arukwe and Lawrence Onusleke with me in the house. Yes, I took words from your mouth before we went for this break, Lawrence.
So I was saying, like, if you watch the viral video of the Senate president celebrating his birthday at the stadium, you will see that the entire stadium was filled to the brim. These are young Nigerians, youths, people that have not eaten, people that are still owing house rent, people that don't even know where their next meal will be. But see how they were cheering, happy, because of probably 1,000 or 2,000 naira. So, to fight corruption in Nigeria now is going to be very, very difficult, but it's possible because it was done all over the world. Nigeria shouldn't be the only place that it will be impossible. But look at it this way. The Senate president and most people in the Senate, they have EFCC cases before they were appointed, before they ran for Senate, before they won. Some that are in the Senate didn't even win their elections or didn't even contest in the primaries.
Their nominations.
But they are there. So we can't be looking at the leaders. When you look at the institutions like EFCC, at least 4 out of 5 of their chairmen are accused of various crimes. So even people leading the institution that will fight corruptions are not even clean. So I'm saying this because for us to see that we can't fight corruption from the government. We can't fight from the institutions that are founded to fight corruptions. The people have to take up the fight. The civil organizations, the NGOs, the masses, we have to say enough is enough.
If those ones are not compromised too?
Yeah, we've shown a few that there are some people that, look at this. Then the last time they shared palliatives here in Anambra State, my organization, IPAN, was invited by Okanot TC chairman to monitor the sharing of the palliative. And we were there, and the bags of rice were shared 500 to each 10 villages, the way it was written, and they carried it. So once the bags of rice left the place, it became chaotic in the villages. The councillors, they started sharing it to their political thing. They said, bring your voter's card before they will give you something that was meant for everybody. So I say,
you see, even voter's card or party card or whatever.
I
think we had something like that.
Yeah. So I still thank the TC chairman of this thing, Okanot, for calling an organization to come and monitor to make sure that it was done transparently. So I feel that if other people in government should be doing so, it will help a lot. Nigerians don't even know where to report corruption. Even educated ones don't even know where or how or their rights when it comes. If there's if they even have the right to report, like with information, there's no transparency in information now. You cannot say how much crude oil Nigeria produces or exports per day. It's always speculative. And like my colleagues just said, you cannot say how much is used to build any road unless what the government tells you. There's no oversight. There's no people monitoring. There's no group.
Why are there no people monitoring?
Because the way the system is, they can easily set you up and you go to jail in Nigeria and nobody will care. People are scared. Why? People know that corruption exists in Nigeria. They are in the offices where it exists. They are paid, but they can't report. Because when you report, there will be revenge. Because the person you reported against will deal with you, and nothing will happen. Nigeria is a place where corruption thrives openly. People are no more scared because they believe that nothing can be done. And some even boast of it. Look at what the FCT minister said the other day about the structure he built in Rivers. That is part of, if he demands so amounts of money every month from the government, that is his politics, is his right. How? Because I don't even know whether the leaders know that this is corruption. They see it as norm.
That means we are in a very big problem when you start seeing corruption as norm in a system. What do we still have left? Yes, how do we break this chain? We are running out of place. Yeah. How do we break this chain of corruption? By way of preferring solutions.
Yes, it is very, very easy to turn around. It's very, very, very easy to turn around, like break the jinx, because that we have seen some other countries that have fallen to the floors rise up. We have seen Rwanda. We are beginning to see Kenya. We are beginning to see Malawi. Malawi is still a recent viral example where things can be done and begin to be done properly. A leader is the man who takes the army, the soldiers to the field. It is his body language, it is his own examples that will ignite a perpetual change and light. If the leader gives mixed feeling, mixed light, kaleidoscopic change, we don't know what he's going to do tomorrow. If a leader borrows just to consume, to chop and feel good, if a leader borrows and borrows not to help the masses who are on the ground, he's not giving out the right body language. And if a leader wants to be a leader, he should be above board. He should be somebody who is better than who is ruling. He should be better than me in the perception of corruption. He should be so that he can talk to me. It is not when I have a cupboard full of his own misdemeanors, his own crime, available to me, available in the internet. Or which voice will he use to even tell the minister who is erring, who is removing money and taking it outside the country? We have a wrong structure that needs to be addressed. If that structure was helped by the institution called INEC, by the judiciary arm, to return the mandate to the person who the masses or the cream of the people voted for, we should have had a new song in this climate. If the true leader had emerged through the crucibles of this maladjusted election, Nigeria will not be in this morass, will not be in this deep shit. Time is of essence that this kind of a topic needs to be given a 2-hour haul so that we can scratch it. Because you talk about corruption, you talk about corruption in the private sector is even higher than the corruption in the public sector. Imagine somebody was giving a lecture on how people use carbide to ripen banana rapidly. How people use detergent
I think we'll
and
have to
ipox to ripen and to ferment cassava.
It's horrible.
The food that we are eating.
I'm telling you.
How people use the pump prices, how they adjust their meters.
A whole lot of things.
To deceive you.
No, like you said,
are they not incidences of corruption?
I know. That's in a very large scale. Forget what you see outside.
Yes.
This is where it starts. Because if you can do this in that domain where you are, when you are given a bigger responsibility, you are used to corruption. So let's just leave it. Like you said, we are going to come back to this topic and then see how we can crash it, because corruption in Nigeria, I don't think you can exhaust it, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you, the gentleman that joined me this morning, Chris Arukwe. Thank you very much for coming, please.
Thank you very much.
And I thank you, Lawrence Onusleke, National President, Igbos for Progressive and the United Nationhood, IPA. Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Okay, that's how far we can go this morning. Well, thank you very much. Those of you that helped from the other side of the MCR, thank you. And then the camera guy and the producer this morning, Chinyere Oreki, thank you. My name is Sijama. God keeping us. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Have a nice day.